between Diddy and Epstein, there's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
We know people are depraved enough to try to get straight guys to suck their dick. We've all heard of it.
All lies will be exposed. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
you will tell it.
I know so many things I shouldn't know. When I walk in a room, heads go down.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it.
All right, so picture this. Things just got way spicier in the Diddy saga. Joe Rogan, Terrence Howard, and Katt Williams just went full throttle, exposing some wild details linked to Diddy's mess. And guess who popped up like a plot twist? Elon Musk himself, firing off digital warning shots aimed straight at Hollywood's elite. Word on the internet is some big-name celebrities are packing their bags and trying to disappear overseas before things really hit the fan. But hold up, before we dive deeper into this crazy tea, let's keep it real. This is all based on whispers, online theories, and folks close to the situation. We're just riding the gossip wave here, not claiming hard facts, so don't shoot the messenger. Now here's where it gets juicy. Apparently, straight from prison chatter, Diddy might be ready to spill everything just to save his own skin. And according to Joe, Terrence, and Katt, there are some A-listers shaking in their boots. The name that really caught everyone off guard? Uncle Steve Harvey. Yep, you heard that right. Folks online say the minute Steve got wind of Diddy's indictment, he didn't just dip, he vanished like a magician. Cleaned up his entire social media like he was scrubbing out a stain, even deleting an old 2017 tweet where he called Diddy a brother doing good for the kids. Yikes. But it gets even more disturbing. Let's rewind to when Steve was living it up in Italy with Diddy and Lori Harvey, who, mind you, had just dumped Diddy's son Justin to date the dad. The drama alone could be a soap opera. But here's the kicker. A photo of Lori during that vacation showed her wearing white nail polish. Sounds random, right? Well, if you've been keeping tabs on Cassie's lawsuit, you know it's not. She claimed Diddy forced women around him to wear white nails during his twisted so-called freak-offs, so the contrast would pop more in his disturbing videos. And guess who else wore white nails? Young Miami. Even Diddy's own mother. Now folks are seriously questioning, was Steve just an innocent friend, or was he clout chasing and playing the Hollywood power game while looking the other way? All of this is raising eyebrows, especially with Diddy's past as the CEO of Revolt, rubbing elbows with producers and making billion-dollar moves. If he really starts naming names, the whole industry might get shaken up, and Steve's suspicious vanishing act is looking more and more like a getaway plan. And guess what? And we haven't even touched on Meek Mill yet. Buckle up, because this rabbit hole goes way deeper than anyone expected.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
First off, Meek Mill. Remember that video where Diddy calls Meek Daddy while lounging by the pool? Yeah, it used to seem like a weird joke between rich friends. But now, with all the drama circling Diddy, that clip aged like unrefrigerated milk. Diddy was hyping Meek up, saying, "I'm proud of you, Daddy. I love you." And now everyone's side-eyeing that moment like it holds secrets no one wants to admit. And what makes it more suspicious? Meek's gone radio silent ever since Diddy's legal mess hit the headlines. No posts, no statements, nothing but digital crickets. But let's not forget, Meek and Diddy weren't just acquaintances. According to Lil Rod, one of the guys who sued Diddy, their relationship might have had darker layers. Allegedly, Diddy was bending Meek. Yes, that's the term he used, and giving him deals in return. When those allegations surfaced, Meek didn't just go ghost. He boarded a plane to Africa and started dropping cryptic tweets like he was in a spy movie. One of the wildest ones, he offered $100,000 to anyone who could find out who was trying to link his name to Diddy. That alone had the internet playing detective, wondering if Meek's sudden exile was just a coincidence or a calculated escape. People online think Meek's playing the long game, acting clueless while quietly doing damage control. Some believe there might be footage tied to the FBI's investigation that could feature Meek. And if that's true, the silence makes a lot more sense. Folks say he's trying to stay under the radar, but the streets are talking louder than ever. And Meek's not the only one sweating right now. Let's talk about Usher. He's been connected to Diddy since he was a young teen, like literally 13 years old, when he joined what they called Flavor Camp? At the time, it seemed like an exclusive mentorship program, but now people are giving it a second, third, and fourth look. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, dropped a bombshell when he said Diddy allegedly sent Usher to the hospital, bleeding. Yes, from down there. Gene didn't say it outright at first, but the context was disturbing enough to make anyone pause. He said he heard it from some old-school Harlem music executives who were ready to walk away from the whole industry after what they'd seen.
You know how people be talking and we was around some people, something like that, and then some people might say, yo, I don't F with that dude. And at the time, I didn't even know who the F Usher was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those type of situations. And when somebody say, yo, man, I don't F with them niggas, man, I'm getting out that industry and everything like that. You know, Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent him to the hospital? Man, Nick was bleeding from the butt. And that's what was said.
And if that wasn't already dark enough, there's that resurfaced clip of Kevin Hart interviewing Diddy. Everyone thought it was a joke when Diddy casually said he and Usher used to wake up together when Usher was just 10. But now, nobody's laughing. People are going back to that footage with a magnifying glass, trying to connect the dots they didn't know were there before. If Usher really was caught up in anything illegal or anything disturbing, he better lawyer up fast.
My brother right here from day one, we used to wake up and, pause, but like just back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes, you know what I'm saying, before pause was invented, you know what I'm saying, but it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the did Puff just say? Nobody's going to acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live.
And now enter Jay-Z. The bond between Jay and Diddy has been strong for years. Business deals, exclusive parties, power moves galore. But here's where it gets murky. There's this name that keeps floating around, Kathy White. She was rumored to be Jay-Z's mistress, and word on the street is she got pregnant with his child. Then she suddenly passed away under mysterious circumstances. For years, people whispered about it, but now those whispers are turning into shouts, and some say Diddy might have known what really happened, maybe even recorded something. No proof yet, but the speculation is loud enough to make even the most powerful moguls uneasy. Just when you think things couldn't spiral further, Jay-Z's name gets pulled right back into the storm. And this time, it wasn't just rumors or vague associations. A few months back, a woman filed a lawsuit accusing both Jay-Z and Diddy of essaying her after the 2000 VMAs. She claimed it happened during an after-party at an upscale New York City residence, something straight out of an industry horror story. But when the case made it to court, things started to fall apart fast. According to her testimony, her father picked her up after the alleged mistreatment. But when her father took the stand, he said he didn't remember that happening at all. Then she said she spoke with Benji Madden at the same party. Problem is, Madden wasn't even in New York at that time. With key details breaking down and timelines not adding up, the judge had no choice but to toss the case. Still, just because it was dismissed doesn't mean it disappeared. The accusation alone was enough to reignite the firestorm. And who fanned the flames even more? Jaguar Wright. She's been one of the loudest voices calling out industry heavyweights, and she did not hold back when it came to Jay-Z. According to her, Jay's just as deep in the dirt as Diddy, maybe even worse. She literally called him the devil. That's a direct quote. She says she knows multiple women, 3 to be exact, who are allegedly ready to come forward with testimony not just against Jay, but against Beyonce as well. Her words painted them as a nasty little couple with dark secrets, claiming they've done horrible things behind the scenes. She even made an eerie reference to Kim Porter's case and drew parallels to Aaliyah's tragic passing, suggesting both women were placed in dangerous situations against their will. Jaguar implied that there's a whole side to these celebrities the public doesn't see, a side filled with manipulation, power plays, and control. And she made it crystal clear she'd never take a photo with Jay-Z. "I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan," she said. "I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. That's some heavy stuff." And speaking of things aging badly, remember that super awkward birthday video Diddy made for French Montana? The one where they're both glistening in baby oil and Diddy singing happy birthday like it's a love ballad? That clip used to just seem uncomfortable, Now, after the feds reportedly found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil during the Diddy raids, that moment takes on a whole new level of disturbing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
This is a special birthday for both of us.
Stop. What do you mean by that?
But it doesn't stop there. Jennifer Lopez got dragged back into the conversation too. Flashback to that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting involving Diddy and rapper Shine. For years, people speculated about what really happened that night. And now sources are saying J-Lo might have been the one actually carrying the weapon in her purse. When things went down, she allegedly tossed the piece and lied about it to the grand jury. She walked away clean, while Shine went to prison for a decade and Diddy distanced himself. But with all these past scandals being re-examined under a new light, nothing's staying buried anymore. See, Natanya Rubin, one of the women injured that night, isn't letting the truth stay buried. She's been calling for the case to be reopened, claiming that J-Lo straight up lied to the grand jury. Natanya says she's willing to have the bullet fragments removed from her face just to prove it. According to her, Jennifer was the one carrying the weapon in her purse, and when things went down, she ditched it and lied under oath. That's perjury. That's jail time. That's not just a scandal, that's a fall from grace decades in the making. If her story holds water and the case gets reopened, Jennifer Lopez might not just be facing backlash, she could be staring down legal consequences. And it's not just her. Diddy's name keeps circling back like a boomerang. The same man who was once untouchable is now the center of a federal storm, and it looks like he might not go down alone. Because now, the whispers have turned into a roar. Whistleblowers are stepping up, loud, proud, and unafraid. And one name leading the charge? Katt Williams. Katt's been screaming this from the rooftop for years. People called him crazy, called him paranoid, laughed him off. But now, the world's finally catching up. He warned about the Diddy parties, the private gatherings with no cameras, no rules, and no limits. According to Katt, those weren't just industry mixers. They were something darker, something most people weren't supposed to know about.
$50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
He was talking about those who crossed the line to gain entry into the elite circles of Hollywood. People who gave up everything, morals, identity, dignity, thinking there'd never be a price. But Katt's message is clear. The bill always comes due. And now it's not just urban legends and whispers. Elon Musk himself threw a gasoline-soaked match into the fire when he reposted a tweet calling out Ellen DeGeneres. Why? Because she suddenly dipped out of the U.S. right after the Diddy investigation went public. Not a press release, no formal goodbye, just disappeared. Fast forward a few weeks and new photos pop up. Ellen in some quiet British pub, unrecognizable. New hair, new clothes, new everything. Her excuse? She says she moved to escape the madness in America. But people aren't buying it. They're saying she's not escaping chaos, she's running from exposure. Why does this matter? Because Ellen and Diddy go way back. He was on her show more times than we can count, laughing, hugging, joking about birthday parties that went until 3 a.m. and continued upstairs. Top 2 floors of a hotel? That wasn't your average celebrity after party. Ellen even tweeted him back in 2016 with this cryptic message. Happy birthday, Cuddle McNuggle stuff. Y'all don't need to know why. At the time, it was brushed off as Ellen just being Ellen. But now, people want answers, especially since multiple former employees of The Ellen Show have already painted her as one of the most toxic bosses in Hollywood. That smiling, dancing image, it was all a front, according to them. And the deeper people dig, the weirder it gets. Rumors are swirling that 2 of her former romantic partners died under suspicious circumstances. There's no official connection to Diddy, but with the way his name keeps surfacing, people are starting to wonder if he helped cover something up. Now, after Joe Rogan broke it all down on his podcast, putting the whole tangled web under a microscope, Katt Williams stepped up again. And this time, he wasn't dropping hints, he was throwing haymakers. He's naming names, pointing fingers, holding the mirror up to Hollywood and asking the world, do you see it now? Katt said for years that there's a hidden world behind the red carpet. And now people are starting to believe him. See, this isn't just about a club shooting anymore. This is about what happens when power, fame, and darkness collide. When people think their money can erase their sins. But now, with federal investigations, whistleblowers coming forward, and even billionaires like Elon getting involved, those sins are crawling out of the shadows.
Catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. All lies will be exposed. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
You will tell it.
I know so many things I shouldn't know. When I walk in a room, heads go down.
This isn't about race or fame anymore. It's about accountability. And the gates of exposure are wide open. Among the names catching serious attention is Leonardo DiCaprio. Yep, Leo. As soon as Diddy's dark history started to unravel, Leo was seen hopping on a private jet to Italy with his new girlfriend. The public statement? Vacation. The timing? Way too convenient. Because almost like clockwork, old photos started circulating online. Shots of Leo lounging at Diddy's infamous East Hampton estate back in '98. Nothing dramatic in the photos themselves, but the internet noticed. See, Leo and Diddy weren't just acquaintances. Back in the early 2000s, they were tight. Diddy even admitted it himself in an interview, saying Leo was his #1 VIP guest at his white parties. The same event's now under scrutiny. But as soon as the pressure started mounting, Leo's team began distancing. They haven't spoken in years. They claimed the goal? Damage control. But social media didn't buy it. They saw the pattern. It's not just Leo. Ashton Kutcher's name also started popping up. The connections are real. The two ran the New York Marathon together. Ashton was front and center at Diddy's 2009 white party. But it was his appearance on Hot Ones that raised eyebrows. When asked about Diddy's parties, Ashton visibly squirmed. Now, according to In Touch, Ashton and his wife Mila Kunis are planning to step away from Hollywood altogether, relocating to Europe. The official reason? They want a simpler life. But online chatter says it loud. They're not stepping away, they're stepping out of the blast zone. They know the fire's coming, and they're trying to be far from the smoke. Then there's Terrence Howard. He dropped a bombshell that lit the internet on fire. On the PBD podcast, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He said what many have only whispered about behind closed doors. Diddy allegedly tried to get at him under the guise of a mentorship. What started as acting advice turned into studio visits, turned into lingering stares, turned into awkward energy. Then came the red flag. Terrence's assistant pulled him aside and said he wants to smash. That was all Terrence needed. He cut ties immediately and disappeared.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah. Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach. And you threaten to punch them in the mouth. Or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into it.
But Diddy wasn't the only one. Terrence said this is a pattern. Other producers tried the same thing. Predatory vibes disguised as mentorship. A man don't take what a guy will accept, Terrence said, so always be the man in the room. That line hit hard. According to him, when you don't play the game, when you don't go along with those shady advances, you get blacklisted. You stop getting invites. Suddenly, you're difficult to work with. Backing up every word of this was none other than Katt Williams. Katt has always been loud about the truth, and this time he laid it all out. I've turned down $50 million 4 times, he said, just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I told you about. People laughed, but Katt wasn't joking. He explained that when you start chasing those big checks, you often don't realize what you're signing up for. Diddy, according to Katt, tried to get close too, but Katt always said no. Then the conversation circled back to something a lot of people have whispered for years. the infamous dress agenda. He once recalled how Kevin Hart had publicly said he'd never put on a dress for a role, claiming he had boundaries and limits he wouldn't cross. But then Kevin did exactly that on Saturday Night Live, and right after, his career took off like a rocket. Coincidence? Katt didn't think so. He believed it was more than just good timing. It was a calculated part of the industry machine. To drive his point home, Katt highlighted the so-called dress agenda has shown up time and time again. We have Big Mama's House 1, 2, and 3, he said, and I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. In other words, the image of black men in exaggerated female costumes has become a staple in mainstream media. And it's not random, it's by design. Katt suggests it's a rite of passage for success in the entertainment world, a silent test to see how far someone is willing to go for fame and fortune. Dave Chappelle echoed those same concerns during his famous interview with Oprah. He recounted how producers tried to convince him to wear a dress for a sketch, promising it would be hilarious. But Dave wasn't with it. This shouldn't have been a discussion, he said. I don't feel comfortable with that. The pressure was immense, but he stood firm. And shortly after, he vanished to Africa, leaving behind a $50 million deal. To some, that seemed like an overreaction. To others, it looked like a man refusing to be molded. For Katt, the message is simple and sobering. In Hollywood, you either play the game or you get shut out. Some of us make choices, he said. Some of us walk away broke just to keep our dignity. He wasn't talking about wearing a dress. He was speaking to a larger truth about integrity, boundaries, and the price of fame. According to him, some people are willing to compromise everything just to be seen, while others choose the harder path of resistance. And right now, with Diddy's trial creeping closer and more Hollywood figures being dragged into this mess, people are beginning to look back at everything with fresh eyes. Online, folks are already bracing for the wave of denials. Every past photo, every resurfaced clip, every party invite is being re-examined. Celebrities who once brushed elbows with controversial figures are now either scrambling to distance themselves or disappearing from the spotlight altogether. With each new revelation, the tension builds. Diddy's federal trial officially began on May 5th, starting with jury selection. Once the jury of 12 plus 6 alternates is seated, opening arguments will follow. The trial is expected to run 5 days a week for about 8 weeks and will be overseen by District Judge Arun Subramanian. Leading the prosecution is Maureen Comey, known for the Ghislaine Maxwell case, along with a team of seasoned attorneys. Diddy's legal team has denied all charges, stating the relationships were consensual. He declined a plea deal. Since this is a federal case, cameras are banned, meaning no live broadcast of the courtroom proceedings. So what's your take on this wild unraveling? Are we witnessing the fall of an empire or just another Hollywood cycle of scandal and denial? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're all in for raw truths, fearless commentary, and pulling back the curtain on celebrity culture, hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the next video popping up on your screen right now. Trust me, this story is far from over.